Now grab yourself some solid blocks. We're going to block up a little bit further from the door platform, and we're going to join up this these blocks here, which they're going to have your rails on them. So we need to block up by 6 blocks. So standing on the door platform, the level of the door platform, block up 6 blocks. And now you should be directly in line with the blocks over there. So you should just be able to block straight across. And they should join up. If they don't join up, then you've made a mistake somewhere building the doors on one side or the other. So you're just going to have to go back and double check. Now, for the time being, this is completely spawnable. You're going to get mobs appear. So just for the time being, walk back over to the east side again. Just spam down a few torches. It's going to stop mobs from growing. It's going to stop mobs from spawning. Now you want to go up by another 3 blocks. And this is going to be the level that you put your roof on. This is going to be the roof exactly the same as it is on the other side. The same size, which is 15 by 5. And now we just want to cover the top with slabs to prevent spawns. And that's the door platform finished on the east side. Now you want to find the middle again, where you dug up the first time round, and just dig straight back down again, not forgetting to fill this in on your way. And then just dig all the way back down again, and we can start on the tube for the villager to fall down. Now the tube on this side is going to be built exactly the same as we built it on the other side. We're just going to have to put the switches in different places. So get yourself to where this repeater is, and then block up 4 blocks. And then off the inside of that, you want to put a redstone block. That again is for your powered rail. That's going to power the villager around. Then you want to block up 2 more blocks. And on the face of that block, you're going to want a fence gate. And then block up 3 more blocks. 1, 2, 3. And then you'll want another fence gate. And then we need to build exactly the same switch as we built over there. So I'll just build this one with you because the others were built on the last video. So I'll just build the first one with you, and then you can just revert back to looking at this one when you're building the ones further up. So we need a block next to the fence gate, then 2 blocks above it and 1 to the side. That's going to have your tripwire hook on it. Tripwire there and there with a bit of string in the middle. Then take out your hoppers, hopper there and there. Pop that one out. Put them so they're facing into each other. A redstone torch on there to lock that hopper. Block there with a comparator on it. And a redstone block on the face of it, like that, with a redstone torch on it. And then you want to put a block just there with a blob of redstone dust on it. Should open the gate. And then you need to fill the rest of it up with glass. So let's put a couple of blocks in there. They're the blocks that the rails are going to go on. And then we need to fill the rest up with glass. So grab your glass and then just fill it in. Okay, then you want to make sure this fence gate is open. Block up another 2 blocks. And throw some water 2 blocks above the fence gate. Then you want to grab some torches, throw some torches on that block and that block to prevent spawns. You could put slabs on top of there or carpet if you wanted to, but at night when that's lit up it does look quite nice, so I'm going to be using torches. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now you want to get back up onto the top of your little tower just here, and you want to block up 2 blocks so it's level with the second door platform. Put a fence gate on the face of that, then block up 3 more blocks, 1, 2, 3, fence gate on that, and build that switch system just here. And then you want to fill it all in with glass. Double check to make sure it's all filled in, and then go up another 2 levels and throw in your water. Now you want to block up to the next door platform and do exactly the same. So block up to here and then make that exactly the same as we built it there, just here. Fence gate, and then the switch. Now you've guessed it, you want to block up to the next door platform and build exactly the same thing again. So level with the door platform, fence gate, 3 up, fence gate, open that, and then build the switch. So then just raise it up by a couple of levels over the top of the fence gate like you did before. Make sure it's all filled in with glass, and then rub in your water, and then it's up to the next door level. Fence gate up by 3, open fence gate, and then the next switch. This is the last switch on this side. Now you just need to extend this center block here, popping that one out all the way up to the ceiling like that, and then you need to extend all of these up to the ceiling, and then you need to pop out that block there, being careful not to fall in. Like that, and then grab your water, making sure it's going to be difficult. This is really difficult in survival. It really is. I've done it. I know it's really difficult. And then we just need to throw in some water, not on the same level as this, on the next level down, just there, because even that little fall down to there, from there down to there, will cause damage to your villager. And as I said, if he goes round and gets just a little bit of damage every time he goes round, eventually he won't recover and eventually he will die. Now, to add a little bit of light to the top of this, grab yourself a sea lantern or a bit of glowstone or a jack-o'-lantern. It's up to you. I'm going to put a jack-o'-lantern. This is going to put the fear of God into the villagers as they're coming over here, isn't it? Can you imagine being in a minecart, coming over here and looking at that? Anyway, we're going to put one there. We're going to run over this side, we're going to put one there, and then put a piece of glass in front of the jack-o'-lantern and then next to it. Now, you can't get in there, mobs can't get in there, but a villager on a minecart is going to be able to get in there. So don't worry about filling that up with a glass block, but it has to be glass. If it's a solid block, your villager is going to take suffocation damage. And then do the same over the east side like that. If you haven't already done it, just throw on a couple of torches there and there. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now we need to grab some filler blocks again, whichever filler blocks you used over there, doesn't matter. Again, as long as they stack in 64s, you can throw them in these hoppers. And in the bottom hopper, you need to put in 15 blocks. Then in the next one up, this one, you need to put in 75 blocks. Then the next one up, we need to throw in a stack of 64. Second to top, we need to put in 15. And then the top one, we need to put in 15. Okay, now it really is worth testing it just to make sure that it works. Perfect. So that's the drop chute on the east side done. Now we're going to put down the blocks here that join up with the other side and the two chutes that take the villagers up to the top. So we're going to do that by just extending that out till it's right at the edge of the spawning floor. And then we're going to run it around the perimeter of the spawning floor. We want to go out to there. Down to there, so it's directly above the corners. We'll be filling these in later. And all the way back down here, you can join it up with this while you're here if you like. And then down to the end. Just there. Now, still using your solid blocks, just fill in these corners. Probably need to stick in a slab there. Just to make it look like there's a bit of gravity at work. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now seems like as good a time as any to get the villagers in, so they can if you've got 70 villagers sat about, you can put all the villagers in right at the end. You don't need to do it now, but if you have to breed them, or you have to set up a breeder up here to get them in, then you're probably best off doing it now. Otherwise you'll be sitting around waiting at the end, waiting for the villagers to turn up. So what you need to do is you need to get a couple of villagers, or you need to get one villager in here. Now, loads of ways of doing it. Bring it up on a bubble elevator, bring it in via a minecart, but you need to get one in there. And you need to get another one in there. So they're the two that validate the doors on either side of the farm. Now you need 35 villagers in there, at least 35, and you need 35 villagers in here. And the reason that we're having so many is that a village will support one golem for every 10 villagers. Now, because multiple golems are going to be spawning, this will spawn multiple golems on the floors. Every time a golem is created, it's actually associated with every village. Because it's within the radius of all the villages, it's associated with all the villagers. So we need the villagers to be able to support more than one golem. Otherwise, there would only ever be one golem spawned, and it would fall out, and then another one would spawn, then it would fall out, then another one would spawn. Now, in testing, I've never had more than 5 golems spawn on the platforms. They get to the middle and fall out quick enough that there's never more than 5 on a platform. So if we have 35 villagers here, 35 villagers over there, 70 villagers, that means that at any one time there can be 7 golems inside the farm. Now, as I said, I've never had 7 in there altogether, and just because you've got more villagers, it doesn't mean they'll spawn any quicker. Don't think that by throwing 70 villagers into a standard 1 village iron farm, you're going to get them spawning quicker. That doesn't happen. They'll still spawn every 8 minutes or so, 6 to 8 minutes or so. But if we have 70 villagers, it means that we can have 7 golems inside the farm, which is why we need 70 golems. So to get 35 villagers in here, either breed them somewhere else and ship them in via a item elevator or minecarts, as I mentioned earlier. Bring them in on boats if you want to, or you can set up a temporary breeder bang in the middle of the farm, which is what we're going to do here. Now, for the breeder to work, you're going to need a couple of villagers to start with that are going to breed. So if we just surround this with a bit of glass just for now, because we don't want food being thrown off the side, and we certainly don't want the babies falling out when they're born. So if we do that and then throw in 2 villagers, now these guys, you are going to have to get in there the good old-fashioned way, like I've just mentioned, but they're going to be the ones that are going to be doing all of the breeding. Now throw each one of them 8 stacks of food. 8 stacks of carrots or potatoes. Don't use beetroot. So we've thrown him 7, not 8, because I picked one up. Okay, we've thrown him 8, or it 8. Okay, so they're ready to go when they get some valid doors. Now at the moment, none of these doors are valid because there's not a villager within 16 blocks of them to recognise the doors. So we need to build another village breeder, another village at the top. But before we just do that, just throw another 2 guys in here. And again, temporarily surround it with any block you like. I'm using glass so you can see in, but obviously you can use any block you want. But if you can't see in, you're not really going to be able to count how many villagers are in there. Okay, so we've got them in there. Throw these guys another 8 stacks of food. He's got 8, they're ready to go. Now, to get them to start breeding, we need to create a village with 1 villager in it. So get yourself bang in the middle of the farm, and you need to get yourself a solid block. I'm going to use glowstone because I don't want things spawning on there. And you want to put a block down on the spawning floor there, then another one, and then block over until you bang in the middle. Okay, so now we're bang in the middle of the farm. Now you want to block up 3 blocks. 1, 2, 3. You can take out those 2. And then you want to make a fake village just here. So if you come out 3 one side, 3 the other, put a block in the middle. Okay, and then cover these with doors. You want 3 doors on either side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then stick yourself down a villager in there. And you want to make sure he can't get out. Now, because he's more than 16 blocks away from those doors can't be validated. So the only doors now in this village are these 6 here. Okay, and these guys are inside the village radius. So there's a village there with 1 guy in it. It's got 3 doors. The village can support 2 villagers. At the moment, there's only 1 villager in it. These guys are too low down to be part of the population. So these guys are going to start breeding because that guy there thinks that the village needs more villagers because he's on his own. On his Jack Jones up there. So we'll let them crack on and do their thing. And while we're doing that, while they're doing their thing, we'll start building the towers up either side. Now, both of these columns are absolutely identical. So what I'm going to do is show you how to build the one on this side and then just rewind the video back to this point again. Get yourself over here and watch the same clip and build the one on this side because they are absolutely identical. So get yourself over to one side or the other. It doesn't make a difference at the moment. We're going to be choosing the south. Find the exact center block on here, and then you want to count out 6 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Should put you directly above the villagers down there. We've already started having babies. Yes. On top of this block is going to be your soul sand. Now, if you're going to be building the tower and then filling it with running water and then planting kelp, which I assume most of you will be doing because it's probably the easiest way of getting source blocks of water, you're going to have to start by putting another solid block there because kelp won't grow on soul sand. So I'm going to put soul sand there just for the second because that's where it's got to go ultimately, but you may have to use a solid block when you're filling it up. Then grab yourself some solid blocks and just surround the soul sand like that. Okay, now you have to build a tower, probably out of glass because you want to see in. You've got to build it all the way up until it's level with those blocks up there. Now you've done that and built the glass tower all the way up, level with the blocks in the middle, grab yourself some solid blocks again. And you want to pop out the middle block there, like that. And then you want to run a line of blocks over to the middle. Like that. This is going to be the block that the rails stand on. Now we need to raise this tower up another 6 blocks. 1, 2... And then cover the top over with glass. Now this has to be glass because if it's not, the poor villagers are going to smash their heads in when they come shooting up here in the bubble elevator. So that top block has to be glass. And then on the front here, you need to put down a solid block. Then grab a rail, a powered rail, put your powered rail there. And then you need to put a fence gate on top of the powered rail. And you need to open it. Now we can stick in the water, so we need to put the water on the block directly behind the fence gate. So it flows this way, but gets stopped by the fence gate, and it also flows straight down. So we need to stick it there. Now, providing you've put all of the blocks in down the bottom, this won't be a problem. If you've missed a block down at the bottom, and maybe I should have told you this prior to putting water in it, but if you've missed a block down here, then your poor villagers might well take an early shower. Right, perfect. So now we've got that. Now we need to turn this into bubble water. Now take out a slab. You need a couple of temporary slabs now. You want to put a slab just there, and then you want to quickly break this block, this glass block, and replace it with a slab on the top. Okay, but do it quick because you really don't want water flowing out of here. So break the block, replace it with a slab. Like that. Now you can reach inside and you can mess about with the block that's in there. Now, if you're filling this with kelp, you need to break this block and then start planting kelp. If you're filling it with ice, then you wouldn't have put the water at the top anyway. You'd have just filled all of this with ice and then broken it with a decent efficiency pick. But I'll assume for the argument's sake that we're going to be filling this with kelp. So now you need to just take out the soul sand and replace it with any other solid block. And we've put the slab there again to stop the water from falling out. So now we'll put the solid block back in again. Now you need to get inside, and there's no easy way of doing it. You can't do it from down the bottom, otherwise water's going to go everywhere. You're going to have to go all the way up the top. Either get yourself a conduit or get yourself a decent Aqua Affinity helmet and grab yourself some kelp, jump in and get yourself down the bottom. Now I'm showing you guys how to do this. You've probably done this a million times already, but I'm doing it now, aren't I? And then just fill all the way up with kelp. Then hopefully you've got elytra on and you can drop all the way down, nice and safe, down to the bottom. Okay, now all of that is source blocks of water, so we can now break that. And they're all source blocks of water. Perfect. Now we need to replace that block there again with your soul sand. So break that block out, replace it with your soul sand. You've got your bubbles. Perfect. So now you can pop out that block. Now we need to get the powered rail up at an angle so the villagers, when they come round here in the minecarts, are going to go up the powered rail onto the soul sand. And to do that, we need to put down a couple of powered rails, and then we need to put another powered rail on top of the soul sand. Okay, now that'll get broken by the water, and it's also turned the bottom source block of water into running water, which is in effect messed up your bubble elevator. So to fix that, all you need to do now is replace or get a bucket of water out and then put some a source block of water on your soul sand, and that'll turn it back into source blocks of water. Now the reason for doing a couple of blocks, a couple of powered rails and not just the one, is because if we just do the one and then do that, you get your angle, but then when you start placing the rails down here, that rail snaps down to the bottom. Okay, so make sure you put a couple of rails down to start with before you put the rail up the top. And then a source block of water at the bottom turns it back into bubbles. Now you need to take out a redstone block, pop out one of those blocks, that one will do as good as any, and then power these rails up like that. And now you need to do exactly the same on the other side. Okay, so now you've done that, you've got both columns of water going up, joining at the top like that. We need to join these rails up now. So the rails from the east door column, the villager comes down there, lands here. These rails will go over to the north and go up to the top, and then bring him around and into the west tower. He'll fall down the west tower, come around here, and then go up the south tower. Then around the top, come down the east tower. So grab yourself a powered rail. This one has to be powered, and you want to throw it down on top of that, on top of the redstone block that we put down there before. And then next to it, you need to put down a detector rail. Okay? And then you need to put down a couple of powered rails, and then three normal rails. Now I advise that you use powered rails all the way around here. It just makes powering it so much easier. And also, if you do decide to only have one powered rail, if the villager stops halfway round, then it stops working, doesn't it? So I'm hoping you won't be short of a bit of gold if you're building this thing. So anyway, find the center block. It's the fifth one along. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that one there. Replace it with a redstone block. Do the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth one around. Redstone block. And then you want to join them up with powered rails. Obviously, you're going to have to put a normal rail in the corner. So they're now powered. They're now connected to the north side. Now you want to do exactly the same over the other side. So powered rail on top of the redstone block, detector rail, two powered rails. They're going to be powered via the minecart going over the detector rail, so they don't need to be powered. And then you want to put down three normal rails, and then find the center block, replace it with a redstone block. The center block replaced with a redstone block, and just join up the rest of the rails with powered rails. The normal rail in the corner. So now you've got all the rails at the bottom connected. Now we need to connect up the power from the detector rail to the switch that goes around here that activates this switch here that messes around with the doors. So to do that, find the block that's got the detector rail on it, and you need to build 2 blocks from the base, 2 blocks up. So 2 blocks like that. On top of that, you need to put a blob of redstone dust. Then you need to put a block next to it, blob of dust. Then you need to pop out these blocks. These are just temporary. And then you need to put another blob of dust just there. So now when the minecart goes over the detector rail, it's going to put a pulse, a signal, into that repeater, which goes into that block, which goes into these repeaters, which goes around the back into the switch. And you want to do exactly the same on this side. So find your detector rail, 2 blocks up, block down, break out those blocks, and then just put a line of redstone dust into that repeater there. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now before we whiz up to the top and put the rails up at the top, I just want to, while I'm still thinking about it, I just want to put some carpet on these blocks here, just to stop spawns. You can light it up if you want to. I'm just going to stick down some carpet. Now you need to get yourself back up to the top. Now we want to join these rails up and around into here. Okay, so we've got, where's the north? North. This one comes around here and goes into that one. And then that one, the south one, comes around and goes into the east one. Okay, so we need to connect these up to there. So find the middle again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's a shame. 1, 2, 7. Don't like working with even numbers. But hey ho. Right, so do it up to there, because what we need to do is put blocks in the corners here, because we can't have the rails joining in the center. So you need to put that there, and then stick some kind of illuminated block in the middle. I'm going to stick down the jack-o'-lantern. And then you want some normal rails, and you need to put normal rails around this side. And then this one is going to come around this side. So pop out these torches, the temporary torches. Mobs can't spawn on rails, so nothing should spawn up here anyway. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pop that out. Redstone block, and then fill it up with powered rails. And then we want to do the same over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in powered redstone block. Powered rails. Normal rails. Remove the torches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bing. Redstone block. Put the power in now. Grab your carpet again. Now it should be impossible for things to spawn up here because it's right next to some lighting. But if you've not put any lighting up here, you can do that if you want to. If you don't want to light it up, you just put a couple of carpets up here, or a couple of slabs, up to you. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now it's time to put in the reset switch to reset the entire farm, if you ever need to do that. So you want to get over to the north part of your farm. We'll call this the front. So get over to the north, the front, and you need to put a line of solid blocks, column of solid blocks just there. Stick a slab at the bottom. This is where your reset switch is going to be. So stick yourself down a button. We'll put it there. It can be stone if you want. I know a stone gives a slightly shorter pulse, but it doesn't really matter for this. But I just think a wooden button is just going to be easier to see. Then get yourself round to the back, and you need to put a block on a block on the block below the button. So a block just there. So when the button gets pressed, that bit of dust is going to light up. Okay, and then we want to run a line of blocks over that way and a line of blocks over that way, but we don't want these blocks to interfere with any of that redstone. So we need to go up. We'll need to go up and then over. So you want to come out one block, and then you want to start stepping up like this. Okay, then grab yourself some slabs, and then you want to run a line of slabs all the way to the side of the farm. And then the last one wants to be a solid block. and then we need to stair step this downwards to there. Yeah? And then we want to do exactly the same on the other side. And then we just want to double check that we're not interfering with any redstone. You shouldn't be, but it's always worth double checking. Check, check, and double check. Now grab yourself a lever for the time being. Pop that off, grab yourself a lever. This is just so we can stick down some repeaters. Just makes it easier knowing how far the redstone dust is travelling. And then grab yourself some dust. Spam down some dust till it stops, and then stick down a repeater. And then you can put down some more dust. Down to there. And we'll do the same on the other side, and then we'll start doing. We'll start messing with a switch. I've been concerned for a while now, ever since I built the farm, that it's possible to press the reset button and break the farm. So if the farm is currently working, generating villagers, you can press the reset button halfway through, and it will actually break the farm. And it's been concerning me now for months. Well, in the process of doing this tutorial, I've come up with a way to fix it. So I'm quite pleased with myself. So now we've got that, you want to take out a redstone torch, and you need to put it, remember there's north, we need to put it on the back of this block here. So we've got the subtraction circuit here. We need to put a torch just there. Now that torch will only come on when all of these lights are on, when all of the villages have been created. So we put the torch there, put a block next to it, and on top of that block put a repeater. You want to put a solid block on the face of that repeater, so crouch, put a solid block. Then you need to run some slabs over to there. Okay, so you want 2 slabs, and then on the top of this slab you want to put down a solid block, and on the face of that solid block facing down you need to put a sticky piston, and on the sticky piston you'll need to put another block. So the resets line will stop here unless all of the villages have been created. And then here you want to put down a repeater, and then you're going to need to put down a couple of blobs of dust. And this is where we've got to be careful again that we don't cross the streams, so to speak. We don't want this block interfering with this dust. So here we're going to need a repeater, then we can put down another blob of dust, then we're going to need another repeater here so that dust doesn't get interfered with, then blob of dust, and a repeater. So now, like I mentioned, this will the reset will only work when all of the doors, all of the villages have been created. So that's this side done. Now it's similar on the other side, but because the reset switch is coming in from the other end, so to speak, because this is mirrored, the reset switch is coming in from the left rather than from the right, and it goes into that block there. So you need a repeater there anyway. This is the block that we need to put the torch on, and then we need to put a solid block on the floor with a repeater on top of it, solid block on the face of the repeater, and then we need to run a line of slabs across to the end. Now instead of putting the sticky piston going down to there, we need to drag it over to the other side. So we just run a line of slabs down to here, put a solid block on top of it, and then we can put our repeater facing down there and our block on top of that. And then we need to run a line of redstone dust. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Perfect. And also, I forgot to mention over here, and I'm sure you didn't, I'm sure you eagle-eyed people have spotted it, we need to put 2 blobs of dust there and there, otherwise that piston won't work. So I forgot to put those in when we put the switch in. Sorry, don't forget to come back and put those in. Now we need to run this line down here into the reset switch, which is that one there. Obviously we can't put one underneath the block, and also we need to put a repeater there to pull the signal out of a block, and that can go there and there. So now what we need to do is just replace this lever with a button. Now if we press the button, nothing happens. Happy days. So now you should have something that looks like that. Right, after literally sitting here and face palming, I noticed during editing that I've put this button. Look at that. What an idiot. This needs to be moved over 1 block. But that does mean, obviously, that some of the redstone dust here is going to be out of whack, so to speak. So let's just correct this. We'll stick the lever back on there again, just so we can test the redstone signal. So it's okay on that side, but I think it's going to be 1 too short on this side. Yeah. There, schoolboy error. Place that with the button. Excellent. Now we need to just wait for the villagers to fill up. So if you F3 and go underneath it, it's really best to look to be underneath when you're F3ing. If you're in survival and you press F3 and you look down on the villagers, you'll also be counting all the entities that are underground. Now at the moment, for me, entities are at 13, 14. I think it said 14, we just said a baby, another baby. Yeah, 14. So we're still a long way short. And we've got 11 on this side. So I'm going to give them a bit of a hand. And then we'll work on getting that guy into a minecart and get him up into the system. Now, before we get this guy up and running into the system, just double check that you've got the switch turned on here, which in effect locks the fence gate at the top. So we don't want him going into the system then suddenly starting and going around and whatever. So make sure you've got the switch activated so the village is locked at the top. Now grab some solid blocks. And you want to put a solid block underneath. You want to put a solid block at the back there, and then you want to put a solid block underneath the glowstone. And then you want to run a line of blocks over this way, and then you want them to go up and join up with this rail here. Like that. If we replace that with a redstone block, and then we can have Powder rail's going all the way up. Now, when we pop out this block, that guy's going to fall down. And we need to put a powered rail just there. And now we need to stick a minecart on the track. And hopefully it'll pick him up and then shoot him off up there. If it doesn't, then we're in for a bit of fun, aren't we? There he goes. Now he's going to sit there until we turn the farm on. So he's going to sit there looking at the jack-o'-lantern. I'm sure he's absolutely terrified. Brilliant. So now what we need to do is get rid of this temporary rail. And the remaining bits of the breeder. And we need to don our finest pair of Depth Strider boots. And we need to start putting down some ice in here. Now, you can't use buckets of water. You can use buckets of water on the bottom because they're solid blocks. But you can't use buckets of water on the second level because if you try to put water onto a slab, you'll just waterlog it and the water will flow straight through down to the bottom. So we have to use ice. Okay. Now you cannot, it's imperative that you don't, you cannot put water or ice on these blocks. Actually, I'm going to go as far as to say put solid blocks in the corners like that. Because if you put water or ice on those blocks, you're going to waterlog the entire floor with source blocks and it's going to ruin the floor. It'll just ruin it. So put down some temporary blocks, solid blocks in the corners. Like this. We can take these out later, but it's absolutely imperative that you do not put water on those two blocks, because if you do, like I said, it'll flood the floor with source blocks of water and there'll be tears. So on the levels where you've got slabs, you need to put down a source block, put down an ice block and then miss a block. Put down an ice and miss a block, put down ice and miss a block. You don't need ice on every single block because two ice next to each other like that with a gap in the middle will form an infinite water source. So you can do that, and we need to do this all the way around. And then you need to stick another one on the top there. On the top, just there, and on the top there, and finally on the top over here. And then you need to go around and you need to break all of the ice. And then you need to do exactly the same on the top. So when you've flooded all three floors, you should have something that looks like that. Now, before we turn it on for the first time, you need to just do a couple of last minute checks. You need to make sure that you've got 35 plus villagers in each pod. You need to make sure you have a villager here. And you need to make sure that at the moment, before you turn the farm on for the first time, that he's not standing in any water, that you've not inadvertently flicked a switch, you know, accidentally got him bobbing up and down in water. He has to be stood on the bottom slab. If he's not, then it's not going to work. So make sure he's on the bottom slab. And you need to do the same around this side. Make sure he's at the bottom. Yes, he is. You need to make sure all the doors are closed. All of the sticky pistons are closed. All the lights are off. And they are. If one of these is on, if one of them is open, and you have to press the reset button, then that reset button won't work because of this dead man switch. You'll need to put a button on top of that block there, on top of your reset switch. But if you press that to reset the doors, it will activate the top dispenser. So bear that in mind. If you have to press it, that will reset all the doors, but it will activate the top dispenser. All you have to do is press it again. So press it again and the water will disappear and it'll be reset. but this guy has to be on dry land before you start it for the first time. All of the pistons have got to be closed. Guy's got to be at the top. Okay, so now it's about time to turn it on for the first time. So as you can see, the redstone torch has gone off, the redstone line, and these are gradually going down. And then he starts creating doors. So now he's created a village just there. It's got one door in it. He goes down to here and it pulls that one door down to here. Now there's a village with 4 doors on it. He then falls down to here and adds these doors to that. Down to this one, adds these doors to all of those doors. By now, the radius of the village is about 60 blocks. Comes down to here. It's probably up to about 85 blocks now. Now he's gone over the detector rail. It's activated that piston, which has opened those doors there. That guy's gone up in his bit of water, so he's within range of these doors. And these 11 doors have been added now to that massive village. And the villager should have gone around, gone up here, and he should already be in the top, validating that door. Yes, he is. There he is. And he's going to come down to this one. And now this is where he slows down quite a bit. So when he gets to this drop here, these doors here, he has to wait quite a while, because now all of these doors on the other side have got to start dropping out of the village. So the village has been moved over to this side. Now those doors are being unset, and the village's centre has been dragged over to this side. So now all the doors on that side have been invalidated, apart from the ones at the bottom, and all of these doors on this side now form part of the village, and the village centre has been dragged over from that side over to this side. And now it's going to get dragged further down. So now the bottom doors have been added and the top ones are now being released. Now he goes over there. Let me go over there and turn this switch off quickly. Don't want him coming down just yet. So now the bottom pistons have been opened, and this guy should be up in water. Yes, he is. Brilliant. So these doors are now being added to the village. Now, because there is no longer a villager within range of those doors, all of these doors will start falling off of the village. And after 2.5 minutes, all that's going to be left is a village with 11 doors there and 11 doors on the other side, with the village centre directly over this hole. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is leave it for another 30 seconds or so all of the doors have dropped off, and then I'm going to look at the village.dat file just to make sure that we've created the first village properly. So if we take a look at the NBT file, the village.dat file, using NBT Explorer, we can see that on this world, the Iron Alpha tutorial world, we've got one village entry. So villagers 1, it's got 22 doors in it, like I said, and the village centre is at X0, Z0, Y8, which is bang in the centre of the farm. So the first village has been created properly. So now what I'm going to do, I mean, the first village is a given anyway, because there's no other villages at the bottom to mess with it. What I'm going to do now is turn it back on again and run it through a few cycles, and then we'll have a look at the village.dat file when it's been around a few times. Okay, so I've had it working now for quite a few hours, and it's done a full cycle. It's completely generated all 60 villages, everything seemed to be working fantastic. I checked the .dat files, all the villagers were created correctly. We've got golems spawning on every floor. I then reset it. I tried a few times during the cycle to reset it, which in the past would have broken it, but now because of this dead man switch sort of thing, nothing happens, which is perfect, which is just what I wanted to happen. I've done once all these 60 villagers were loaded, I've done the proper reset, everything reset properly. The villagers went down to the bottom, all the water was retracted. Everything seems to be working fantastically well. So I've started it running again, and it's been running now for an hour and a half maybe, and it's just over halfway through creating the villages, maybe about an hour and 20 minutes. So I just wanted to show you the .dat files halfway through the village creation. So if I just escape this, and then that saved the files. So if we look at the .dat file now, we'll see that we've now got 35 villages created, and every village has got 22 doors in it, and it's centered on 0, 0 at Y level 8, or the ones on the bottom are anyway, the first 30 doors. So if we pick another one, 22 doors, population of 70, 22 doors, 0, 0 and Y level of 8, population 70, 22 doors, 0, 0, population of 70. Perfect. If we get down to the bottom, the bottom 5 or the bottom 6, the bottom 5 here, the second to bottom 5, they're all the ones that have been created higher up. So their village centre is at Y level 11. But as with the others, it's got 22 doors, it's got a population of 71. And the last one that's being created, that's the current village that's being created. So that currently has 77 doors in it. But as you can see, it's got a population of nothing. And at most, it will only have a population of 1. So you don't have to be worried about golems spawning anywhere else in the farm. On other versions of multi-village iron farms, you've had to put blocks down and carpet and all kinds of stuff to stop golems from spawning where you didn't want them to spawn because of how the villages were created. On this farm, that just can't happen. They'll only ever form on the spawning pads. So it's working absolutely perfectly. So I know this video, or this series of videos, has been really, really long, and if you've managed to make your way through all of it and you've built this thing, then pat yourself on the back. Congratulations to you. I appreciate the fact that you've watched it, and I hope you can appreciate the amount of work that's gone into this. There's been months and months of planning to do this. There's been builds and rebuilds, tweaks upon tweaks upon tweaks. I finally got it to a stage where I felt comfortable in sharing it with you guys. So please let me know what you think. I'll be really interested to know. And if you're going to build this in your world, try to build it in the spawn chunks if you can. And as I mentioned right at the beginning, try and build it all in your spawn chunk if you're going to build it in your spawn chunk, although you don't need to because it is resettable, so you can build this anywhere in the world. And then AFK next to it, and you'll have golems raining out of the sky. Now I've worked it out that you'll get between 2,400 and 2,700 ingots an hour when this is working at full capacity. That is astonishing. More iron than you will ever need. Now in the next episode, I'm just going to go through a few ways to kill the golems. They're very simple, and I'm sure you know how to build them anyway. There'll be a bit of lava under there somewhere and some chests. I'm not going to go into storage because obviously storage is entirely up to you, but I do recommend that you fire this into some kind of shulker system, a shulker loading system, because there's just going to be so much, and you'll definitely need some kind of poppy filtration on the bottom of it. Otherwise you'll be inundated with poppies. And in the next episode I'll just go over a few troubleshooting things as well, just in case you're having trouble with it. I'll run through a couple of the main reasons why it might not be working properly, and then hopefully that'll stop you from having to go through the entire full videos just to find out where you might have put a bit of redstone in the wrong place. So thank you for watching this series of tutorials, everybody. I really do appreciate it. If you have enjoyed this, please don't forget to leave it a like. Don't forget to share it with everybody. Share it on Twitter, on Facebook. Just tell everybody what a fantastic build it is. And if you want to see more fantastic builds like this, just subscribe. This is Frilioth, and I'm out of here.